We're live. Okay. Three, two, one. Hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 147. We're going to title this What's Not App because hopefully, if you're hearing this, WhatsApp is actually in use and you can use it and not down without any notice, without any justification. And I think a lot of people started crying softly and needed a big safe space.
My safe space was Signal, which I contacted you on, and actually I went back to Google Hangouts to ask my wife a question because WhatsApp was totally dead. So I was like, oh, that's weird. The Wi-Fi is usually pretty good in here. So I shut off my Wi-Fi, tried to send my message. Nope, nothing.
So the same troubleshooting.
Yeah.
I almost uninstalled it.
Oh, really?
That means security keys changed. Basically, a whole bunch of people now have to change your security keys. Because, right, you would uninstall it. I mean, when stuff doesn't work, you unplug it and plug it back in.
I turned on airplane mode and turned it back off and tried it again. And then I did the most important troubleshooting step ever. I went to Twitter and I searched for WhatsApp down and just floods of tweets everywhere.
Is it down or just me?
Yeah. So I went to Twitter and said, is anyone else having issues? I do that whenever a big service goes down. I go to Twitter and type in, app name or website name down. And sure enough, someone else is complaining. So it wasn't just me.
I should just randomly complain about different things and hashtag it.
You totally should.
I mean, I remember trying to log into a PayPal site to collect money after I was being hesitant, and PayPal went down the second I tried to log in. And the problem with these services is that if you call them, they want to promise such uptime, so they will never admit the service is down. And you're like, look, just tell me that it's down. I will just go away and not bother you. Instead, I'm going to call you a liar and waste your quota for the next 20 minutes.
Well, sometimes depending on the web service, sometimes it's easy enough to say, yes, it's down. Sometimes it's not really that easy. What if you're running, a multiple zoned environment and somehow there's a routing issue between level 3 and Verizon, and for some segment of your customers that are going to that data center based on geolocated DNS queries, those people are down. But you, sitting in your Palo Alto office on your Comcast connection, you can get to it just fine, and so can everyone else on the planet. Just this very small slice of your customer base can't. So there's actually a little bit of weirdness there to actually suss out exactly what the problem might be.
So I used to work for level 3 in a different life, so it's never their fault.
Oh, no, never. Level 3 has never had an issue ever, no matter what.
I mean, I made the photocopies for the big people while interning, so that means clearly I did my job.
Yes, absolutely.
So Comcast, on the other hand, or wherever, the backbone of the internet is not their fault.
Actually, there's a wonderful site that I'd love to plug. If you go to, I think it's internetpulse.com. They changed it. Let me search for Internet Pulse. It's used to be a wonderful little website that shows you all the different interconnections of the different internet backbones and their latency and packet loss. And for some reason, it's going to this other website now. I think that site got bought. But that's where I would always go to. And I actually have diagnosed several network-related problems with various websites or apps being down when it was actually a backbone packet loss problem, which is very rare. I mean, it doesn't happen all the time, but it does happen.
Those damn UDP packets.
Right? So unreliable.
So anyway, but yes, if you didn't know, WhatsApp was down, and it was causing, I was in the midst of rage arguing with people, so not being able to continue that really slowed me down. I went outside, I took deep breaths, I watered the flowers. I did relax.
Wait, hold on, you went outside?
Yeah, I do that.
What is this outside?
I do that. It's like the perfect temperature. It's like 68 and bright and sunny today. Right, it's going to get to like 38 degrees tonight, but that's a different story. And we're talking Fahrenheit, not Celsius. But no, WhatsApp was down. People are going crazy, and I like didn't know what to do because I got all my family now to switch to WhatsApp. So Hangouts was kind of like a backup. And I'm trying to think. Then you messaged me on Signal. I'm like, okay, we have Signal. I'm okay, but I really want WhatsApp back on. Like, I think it's. Yeah, when the government starts going after WhatsApp, just remember this day.
I don't think it was anything nefarious, right? The vast majority of the time, it's not anything nefarious. It's probably an upgrade that went wrong, or a piece of infrastructure that died, or a switch that failed over improperly. There's a lot of things that can happen when you're, running an app that literally 8 billion people use. It's a big, complicated thing.
I got annoyed that they didn't list anything on their website. They acknowledged the problem. They didn't say what it was, or just there's a problem. We're working on it. That was it. Nothing else.
Yes. Well, take it from someone who has written the customer-facing outages. Sometimes it takes a little bit to word what you want to say and to actually get the root cause of the problem, absolutely nailed down. Because you don't want to give out false information, but at the same time, you don't want to give out too much information, right? It's like, well, it went down because Bill tripped over a cord in the server room and our whole rack went down.
I was always told that you say you spilled beer on the server.
Well, that does work too.
So, I mean, that was always my go-to. You spilled beer on the server. Everyone does that. So apparently that's it.
So we were having a kegger in the server room, and John kicked it over when he was doing a headstand. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean that's usually the problem. So, I mean, I don't have much else on the WhatsApp power outage of, I guess, 2017, but it did go down. It did cause some problems. And this just reminds you that these servers do go down, and you have to find, like, calling people on the phone may be an alternative.
Ew. Phone calls?
I just want to say that, again, we have a WhatsApp chat group. You're welcome to join it. Just message me for a link. You want in, we'll get you in. And we were discussing that I can't be the oldest one in the group. That's by no way true. But I feel like I'm the one who's yelling at the clouds saying that they're ruining my life.
I think you were the only one in the group to actually like phone calls. The rest of us dread them.
I do like phone calls. Somebody once said that if you have to go back and forth more than 2 or 3 times, pick up the phone and solve it. If it's one of those, here's a phone number, here's my location, here's whatever, then that's one thing. But if tonality is going to get lost, pick up the phone. And I think I'm the only one.
Yeah, in like, well, not even that. There have been instances where even in technical discussions, picking up the phone has solved my problem.
So that was the main story of today. The second story that came out was last week, Sunday, 11 a.m., Lifehacker put out a story, secure messaging app showdown, WhatsApp versus Signal. And for the most part, the content of it was okay. They got to the last 10%, the punchline, and I think they were wrong. And Tom started yelling and screaming about their thing. And their line is, and we've talked about this. So Signal is run by Open Whisper Systems. Signal is the reference solution. WhatsApp calls up Open Whisper Systems and say, help us out, and they help. So WhatsApp everybody's using Signal, but WhatsApp is slightly different. And their response, WhatsApp is great for security. Signal is best for privacy. And Tom started yelling and screaming.
It really looks like when they wrote this article, they couldn't find a nice, definitive, punchy conclusion, like a one sentence, this wraps it all up. And I think this does a whole lot to confuse people, because you say, well, I want security, so I'm probably not going to use Signal, but hold on, I want some privacy too, so I'm not going to use WhatsApp. Who has security and privacy? And it's not accurate, and potentially misleading to people, right? Signal has the privacy you want. It's got the security you want. WhatsApp is a less perfect version of Signal. Signal's not perfect by any means. Nothing is. But right now, it's the best secure messaging solution we have. WhatsApp is really good, but they do collect metadata unless you uncheck that box, and even then, it's not guaranteed, right? But they do collect some information on you that Open Whisper Systems doesn't with Signal. So really, if you want a one-line life hacker punchline to Signal versus WhatsApp, is everyone uses WhatsApp, but if you're really paranoid, use Signal. They're both great, and that's kind of where the line's drawn.
I think you said it is. If you want privacy and security, use Signal. If you want good enough, use WhatsApp.
Yeah, and Signal definitely lags behind in the features department, right? I mean, just recently they pushed out a feature to allow you to send big files through to other people, which is great. That's huge for journalists. It's huge for normal people. I've used it even like as a sysadmin to send, sensitive or sometimes even non-sensitive configuration items to people. It's great because I can be assured that the files can be protected in transport and end-to-end encrypted, something that I couldn't be assured of with the company email. But WhatsApp has had that for quite a long time. So Signal definitely lags behind. WhatsApp is more useful if you need those bleeding edge features, and I appreciate them. But it's you're making some trade-offs there. You're using a Facebook application and not something that's run by a third party that's unaffiliated that runs on grant money.
And look, it's most people have WhatsApp, and we've talked about this. What's your how secure do you need to be? So it's you want security, you want all that other stuff, but you also don't want to be in this hole where no one can find you. You have to go out and live your life, and WhatsApp lets you do that. So unless you need absolute security and privacy, nobody's going to be. WhatsApp is good enough, and we keep on having this argument. People say we can't join your group because you're in WhatsApp. And we say, look, we're not talking about anything bad, but we're just saying that this is secure enough and everyone else is on it. So use this. And most of us talk at work where the WhatsApp web desktop client is actually really good instead of having to pull out our phones and everyone watching.
Yeah, and Signal, I really hope tunes up their web app experience. I know it's kind of on their to-do list, as is a lot of other things. But we'll see. We'll see.
I mean, I want Signal to make sure they are as bulletproof as they say they are all the time.
And keep in mind, I mean, Open Whisper Systems is not the size of Facebook, right? They're not this giant media internet juggernaut that's eating the world. They're, a tiny team with relatively few people and even less resources. They operate on a shoestring budget, and it's amazing what they've pulled off. With the kind of funding and the amount of people they have. Granted, the people that work for them are literally the best in the business, right? When you want something, a secure solution that you can use on a daily basis, they provide that. They're literally the guys who wrote this kind of encryption. But they can't move as fast as WhatsApp because they don't have as many resources.
I want to say that it's a team of 8 to 10 people.
Yeah, it's small, like really small, like crazy small. It's not like they have a big team of investors or they're looking to monetize. I mean, they operate on donations and grants.
So again, we're not going to hit the which secure messenger is the best one. We keep on saying look for ones like Signal, like WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and Allo on private mode only, where they're saying, hey, we asked Open Whisper Systems to write our cryptographic protocol. We're anti-Telegram because they write their own, and it hasn't been cracked yet, but people have said it's getting close. So those are the two big stories. Something happened today, and I don't know if Tom saw it. It's somebody's been sending out Google phishing emails saying somebody shared a Google Doc with you. Click open to see it, and then you would be infected.
Yeah, it looks like without a ton of information on this, it looks like the nice things that Google will give me the nice open in docs button, and it's all pretty and googly. Well, the scammers have caught on, and they're making their emails a little prettier. This isn't, the bottom of the barrel spam where you put in no effort and say, oh, this is IT, send me your password, please. It took, a little bit of copying and pasting to pull off, which is more than most of the spam out there, more effort than they put in. But yeah, without a bunch of information, there's not a whole lot I can say about this. But this is just another opportunity to say, look, if you don't have two-factor authentication on your Google account or other important accounts, now's the time to do it. Because all it takes is for you to, you click on this, it says, oh, sorry, you're logged out. You should probably log in now. You put in your username and password, and your Google account's taken over. You can get it back, but it's a huge pain. As someone who's recovered family members' Google accounts, you don't want to have to do it. It'll take a couple hours at least.
And again, it's Google has rules on all this. They went against the rules, and they're offering. You just have to read it, because, like we said with phishing emails, generally it's not the best English, but they're getting better. They're hiring people in America to write this, and it's going to hit more and more people. We had that issue at work a few weeks ago or last week with the phishing emails. They are just now relentless. They are nonstop, just hoping that somebody has a momentary lapse in judgment, and that's it. So,
and I mean, if you look at the numbers, right? If you look at the amount of these messages that get sent out, and all the accounts are blasting, trying to get someone to click on it, right? When you're targeting 1 million accounts and you get 1% hits, well, you've got a good handful of accounts that you can use to send more spam or infect or take their personal data or hold for ransom, you name it. You don't have to hit very often when you target a giant set of users. And
2% is the general accepted hit rate, something like 2%.
And if you're, if you're a hacker specifically targeting a business or a school or whatever, right, and you're trying to get a foothold into that network, all it takes is one person launching your malware and you getting into their system with some kind of remote access tool for that hacker to get a foothold into the network, right? It just takes one. Now, would it be better if a bunch of people click it? Yeah, sure, obviously. But if all you're looking is to get past the firewall, you have to hit one person in a business, which is why phishing works.
And now we get this. Now what I love is that our school is sending, don't click on any links in email. So anytime we're asked to do something, our response is, you sent us a link. How do we know this is legit? We need some more training, which is just us pushing back a little bit. But you know what? That whole thing of don't click on any link is true, then not true, then now is back true again, and people are getting confused.
Actually, I worked for one company that said, oh, hey, don't click any links in email. So what they would do is they would make a link in email, but unhyperlink it. So it was just text, and they'd say, oh, copy and paste this into your browser. And that's not any better. That's really not any better. And then I also worked for another company that said, okay, don't click any links in email. By the way, it's company policy. If you send out an email to a group with a link in it, our filters will catch it and spam it instantly. They didn't allow any links whatsoever, which, for some of the users that needed to send links, it got kind of interesting because they would have to obfuscate it in certain ways. And most of the time you could just break it up with a couple spaces and it would go through. But yeah, that policy is interesting.
And as you were talking, I checked my work email and it's there saying, just be careful and do this and do that and just double check things. But our last story today, somebody said, I want to use ProtonMail because it's super secure. They claim that they're super secure. And Tom just went off on, not on them, but on the idea.
Email is kind of a tire fire. And by kind of, I mean it's absolutely a tire fire. So email is not secure. Anytime you send an email, it's sent in plain text. Anyone that's routing it can open it up and read it. It's analogous to a postcard, right? When you put a postcard in the mail, and for those of you who are young and have never seen a postcard, it's kind of like you're sending a letter, but it doesn't have an envelope. It's got a pretty picture on the front, and you write the text on the back along with the address and a stamp. And anyone who handles that can just read the text. It's a very public form of communication to any postal worker. So email is kind of like that. Anyone along the chain of delivery can read your message, unless you use something like PGP. But even that has flaws. With PGP, the subject line isn't encrypted. You know who the message came from. You know when it was sent. There's a lot of metadata there that PGP doesn't obfuscate or get rid of. The only thing you encrypt is the body of the email, which is great, and attachments optionally. That's great, but it doesn't solve a lot of the problems we've seen with modern cryptography, one of which is long-lived keys. So if your key ever gets taken, they have all forward communications using that key and everything backwards, which, by the way, is what the Signal protocol aims to fix. They use very short-lived keys that rotate all the time. It's a better way to do cryptography today. But ProtonMail, they say they're really secure. And they use encryption, and they've got all the buzzwords. Their security only comes into play when you're sending to another ProtonMail user, and even then, they have turned over information to law enforcement regarding their users and the contents of their messages. This is not end-to-end encrypted. This is conveniently encrypted. If someone were to look at the database without the special admin keys, they won't get anything. If you send an email to any other account from ProtonMail, it just goes through as a normal email. There's really not much added benefit, if any. So using it isn't a panacea. It doesn't fix anything. It doesn't help anyone. It's really played up. It's really marketed. It might be a great service, but you should not rely on ProtonMail to make you more secure. If anything, I kind of don't like them because they're trying to sell you this thing that makes you think you're more secure, right? You're like, oh, I can send anything because I'm on ProtonMail and no one can hack it because it's super encrypted and super cool. And that's just not the case. I don't like giving people the expectation of security and having them potentially hurt themselves. Email can't really be secured beyond what we've done with PGP today. The technology is too old. It's too federated. Unless there was a massive internet uprising on most of the major email providers, there's not a great way to overhaul email today in terms of security. I've given up on it. I don't think email will ever be secure, and I think we're going to move on to other messengers, like Signal, in the future. I don't think email will ever die. But I don't think it'll ever be on the level that we want it.
I mean, the ProtonMail, like you said in the beginning, it has to be secured ProtonMail to ProtonMail, and all they're then doing is just turning on secure SMTP, and they're doing something else. But still, it's one member to another. Are they on ProtonMail? How do we know what's going on? Are they going to take it? And then you end up saying, well, it's only me in the class, and there's nobody else to talk to. Maybe I should have thought of the app or the other class that doesn't deal with computers and go from there. But just like, look, ProtonMail is almost like Signal in the sense that Signal is only encrypted when you send it to people with Signal. That's why we keep on pushing it. Download Signal, install it. Even if you don't use that text messaging app, when you do get text messages, it may at the end of the day say, this person's on Signal. Let's say hi to them and let's engage in conversation.
And that's actually, I used to hate early on. I used to absolutely abhor the way all the new messengers were just using my contacts and phone numbers as usernames, right? Now let me make an account. Let me make a username. Now I've kind of grown to appreciate it. Yeah, it's a centralized system. Yeah, I can't stand up my own server too easily, but I don't care, right? I don't have to hunt out my friends' usernames. The other day, a good buddy of mine that I talk to occasionally, it popped up and he was on Signal and he sent me a message. He's like, oh, of course you're on the most secure chat messaging program ever. I just downloaded this today, right? He didn't need to search out my username because he already had my phone number and we just started talking securely. It removed that barrier to entry and it made it easy for him and for me. And now that's the only thing we talk on. So I'm really, really happy with the phone number as the username model. I get the detriments, but to me the benefits outweigh it.
And well, you say that because you have a Google Voice number and nobody knows your regular phone number.
I have one phone number. I will keep that phone number for life, and I'm never changing it. That's it. Like if Google Voice dies, I will port that to T-Mobile and use that as my real actual phone number. As much as I would hate it.
I'm legacy on that because I'm like you. I have that one phone number. The problem is a whole bunch of people before Google Voice came are in that I'm not changing your phone number forever. So I do that. And by the way, when you call T-Mobile to T-Mobile on your number, not your Google Voice number, the HD voice is amazing. The quality and everything else. So I've been calling certain people I just constantly toggle on and off how to call people, which is really annoying.
I actually, most of the calls I make are through WhatsApp now. Believe it or not, because most of the calls I make are to my wife and she uses WhatsApp.
Correct. So WhatsApp is awesome for this too.
Yeah. The only time I don't like it is when Signal gets shaky because then the call breaks up and then there's sometimes massive delay. It's gotten better, but it's not perfect.
I mean, the Signal voice services have been excellent, except in my car, it doesn't run through system Bluetooth. So that's a system sound. So it just makes everyone's life. It's just a make your life harder type thing. Because when you're in the car, you want to talk to somebody. You need them to call you on your cell phone. But if you're at home, then WhatsApp, and they're not going to know. So you just have to just trust them that they'll figure it out.
There needs to be like one app to rule them all. We just say, Bob, I want to talk to Bob right now. And it'll open up like AOL Instant Messenger and Yahoo Messenger and Signal, and it'll send them a PGP encrypted Tor email, and it'll call them on their home phone or their landline, and it'll send a postcard to their grandmother. Like it'll just get a hold of them every way it can think of.
So I did that to Justin once. He wasn't returning my calls. I spent half an hour emailing every single thing he did. And it's probably been months it took him to get rid of all of that.
That's wonderful.
Anyway, I have nothing else on these topics. I mean, we're done early, but we're not done too early. So unless you have anything else, I say we wrap it up.
I've got nothing right now. In other tech news, I have a Nintendo Switch that I can totally report on all of my gaming activities in our WhatsApp group that you should totally join. By the way, the new Zelda game is fantastic, and Mario Kart is really cool.
Is this the Zelda game that didn't launch at launch time? You had to wait a month or two?
No, this was out with the system. It was their day one.
I mean, I only buy Nintendo. When you buy Nintendo, you're buying Mario, Mario Kart, Metroid, Smash, and Zelda. Those are the 5 games that you buy and nothing else.
Yeah, that's basically it. I do have Bomberman that came with my bundle. I did not actually pay money for that willingly. So,
Okay. Not worth complaining. A Switch is in hot demand. And I don't know, Nintendo, once it hits 100 million, they may just stop it straight out.
Right. They'll be like, I think it's popular enough. We'll go ahead and kill it now.
And that only works when you tell people there's only 100,000, not, all you people online, you get nothing. So, I don't know. Anyway, if that's it, I'm gonna cancel. I'm gonna stop and say let's just wrap it up. And again, we'll just shamelessly self-promote our group in WhatsApp. Tweet us, we'll get you in. Join us. So we've been having a lot of fun there. Anyway, everybody, we're gonna stop and we will see you next week. See you, everyone. Bye.